Mardi Gras, mambo, 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 Mardi Gras, mambo, mambo, mambo. Woo! Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren Severe and I upload booktube content on Mondays, authortube content on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And today I'm so excited to say laissez les bon temps rouler from here in Louisiana. Basically what that means is let the good times roll. Today is Mardi Gras, you guys, February 25th. And I am excited to be able to bring a Mardi Gras symbolism in your whip tag that I collaborated with Camille and Myrick to film and upload. And I hope that some of you guys decide to do the tag as well. So for anyone who isn't familiar with Mardi Gras or with me, I'm a young adult fantasy author from Louisiana. And down here in Louisiana, we celebrate Mardi Gras every year. It's a religious holiday that's full of symbolism. A lot of people consider today Fat Tuesday or Shrove Tuesday, which is a day of excess and carnival and parades and eating and just a big party before the restrictions of Lent. And so that's the basic purpose of Mardi Gras. And today I really wanted to talk about a lot of the symbolism in my work in progress, my debut novel, Songs of Autumn, and I hope that you decide to participate. So there's 10 questions. I will link them in the description down below. Tag me or Camille so we can put you in a playlist. I'm so excited to do this. I've been thinking about this video forever, and Camille is a neighbor. She actually has her debut poetry collection, Paper Daisies, that's coming out soon, and she lives in Mississippi, so we're both down here from the deep south. We both celebrate Mardi Gras, and when I approached her about doing the collaboration, she was super excited, and I'm just really excited to do it too. Anyway, so question number 1 is green, purple, and gold colors. Green, purple, and gold are the main colors of Mardi Gras, and they are symbolic, of course, for the holiday. But the question for the book is, are there any colors in your whip that have a special meaning? If so, what colors and what do they mean? So I do have a few colors that are really important in my whip. So one of the first colors is the color green. The color green, there's a couple of different reasons why that's really important. It means safety. It also represents kind of where Matt is from, who is our love interest and my second protagonist, as this is a dual perspective book. He's from the mountains and from the north, and during the summertime it's very green, whereas Liz doesn't really see it when it's very green because they're in the months of autumn, coming into winter, obviously, Songs of Autumn. But his eyes are also green, and there's like an inherent like life, vitality, safety that's associated with the color green, laughter, and that's a really important color in the whip, in Songs of Autumn. Also the color red. So the color red is really important because not pretty much anyone in the Kingdom of Aegis is born with red hair. And our protagonist Liz is. This marks her as the Red Princess from a prophecy that indicates that she should die in a blood ceremony sacrifice during a blood moon. Basically, blood, the color red, the red of her hair, it symbolizes, violence, death, her destiny that she feels like she can't escape from, her fate that she feels like she can't escape from. It's a glaring reminder of who she is and her obligations, even when she's trying not to acknowledge them. And so it's really important in the themes of the book as well. Question number 2, Mardi Gras crew, family. What type of relationships does your main character have in your whip? Romantic, familial, platonic, how do these relationships tie into the larger themes of your book? So my main character, Liz, has several relationships. There is a romantic subplot in my book, so she does have romantic connections with two different characters throughout the book. But the relationships that I want to talk about actually the most are the one with her mother and the one with her best friend, Tia. So the one with her mother is a little bit complicated. She is, a 17-year-old girl, and she's having to come to terms with her own mortality, which is very hard. And her mother is having to try to come to terms with losing a child, which is also very hard. And there's clear signs that, the relationship wasn't always perfect, but her mother always prioritizes her. And there's obviously a lot of love there as well, and a lot of respect there. She really puts her mom on a pedestal a lot because she sees her as this graceful, dignified queen and somebody that she would never be able to emulate. She feels like she's, a 17-year-old girl, that she's awkward and shy, and she doesn't really know how to be, graceful and always speak the way that she should. And so that relationship, while at times can be strained, is also very important to her. She's definitely closest with her mother as opposed to her father. Her father really doesn't have a relationship with her, so she leans a lot more on her mom because of the absence of that relationship with her dad. Her best friend Tia is basically, that's her non-romantic soulmate, basically. I mean, Tia is the twin of her soul, her sister in every way but blood. She grew up with her and trusts her implicitly, and she is jealous of her effortless charm and the way that she can just express herself so openly when Liz feels so stifled at times. They do have ups and downs throughout the book, as any relationship, but she is definitely one of the most important relationships to Liz. Liz couldn't have done the things that she did throughout the book if it wasn't for Tia. And so that's definitely one of the best relationships. It ties into larger themes of the book because Tia is also, she's a refugee from another country. She's also not seen as someone who, while she can be effortlessly charming and she's bold and she does all these things that Liz wishes she was brave enough to do, she also doesn't feel whole without Liz. And so there is a beauty in the fact that these two girls lean on each other. And I just really love their relationship so much. Okay, question number 3. King cake. Food. Do your main characters have any special foods or eating habits? How do these tie into the larger themes of your book? So, there are two main characters. Liz is my main protagonist, and then the secondary protagonist and love interest is Matt. It's a dual perspective, first-person dueling perspective book, so we'll go with Liz first. Liz grew up in this, castle by the sea. So a lot of her eating habits are basically what you would expect from somebody who lives at the shore or by the sea. It's a lot of pale wines, scallops, fish, oysters, but because she grew up at royal court, it was kind of really ostentatious and elaborate at times. There was never anything that was just simple or filling. It was always a presentation, a pageant. It was always overly decadent, overly rich, overly sweet, overly whatever. So as far as food goes, it was never really a comforting experience for her. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Matt grew up in relative poverty, and so he actually ate a lot of really simple food that filled his belly enough to where he could get through work the next day. And growing up, his mother actually was a single mother. raising him alone. She had very few opportunities, and many times she went hungry so that he could eat. Just like I imagine any mother would give up their food for their child. He was resentful of the fact that they didn't have the opportunities growing up to be able to put food on the table every night. And the thinner that his mom got, the angrier he became, and that plays into his character development. He had to eat, and she had to watch him eat while she went hungry, and that was very, very hard for him. And so he has a special relationship with food as well, in the sense that he never wants to go hungry again, and he never wants to not be able to provide for the people that he cares for. So that's like a cornerstone for him, is that he wants to take care of people, and he wants to make sure that they have what they need and that they're safe. Okay, question number 4. Mask and costumes, emotional or literal? Are there any items of clothing, jewelry, armor, etc. your main character uses throughout the book? Do they symbolize something? If so, what? Does your main character use these items to hide part of themselves from others or create emotional distance? So, let's see. So there is a green cloak that Matt gives to Liz after they first meet. And he gives her the cloak kind of without thinking about it, because she's not really dressed in the appropriate clothes for how cold it's getting, because winter is approaching. They're in autumn and it's nearing winter time. And she's obviously like from the south where the climate is warmer, and she's not really wearing what she needs to be wearing to stay warm, and she's like shivering, and he doesn't really think about it, and he gives her his cloak. And she like never gives it back, but she wears it throughout the book, and she uses this not just as a sense of warmth, but a sense of safety. She clutches it tight around her whenever she feels vulnerable, and she obviously uses it to shield some part of herself during tough conversations and things like that. So it is used quite often as a symbol in the book whenever we're dealing with their interactions. It also connects them to one another, because in a way this cloak is an extension of Matt and the safety and the kindness that he offered her when nobody else had, and he did it without thought, just because of who he is, and not with any sort of ulterior motive. And so that also does play into larger themes of the book. Number 5, beads and throws. Money. What is your main character's relationship to money in your whip? How does this affect the story? So Liz is like a princess, and she has a ton of money, but she flees with nothing. So she has no money. She has no way to get money. She is trading stuff to be able to eat and survive. Meanwhile, Matt has grown up relatively poor and doesn't make a ton of money, and it does, I think, influence some not great decision making on his part, as he is a bit impulsive when he thinks that there's an opportunity for him to advance and stuff, which I guess is related to money and status and power and prestige and stuff. So it definitely, it makes Matt not make the best decisions, and Liz doesn't think about money at all, which I think probably is not a great thing, that she doesn't think about money at all. But she doesn't. She's never had to deal with not having money before, and so she doesn't think about what not having money is going to be like. So that's an issue. Let's see. Number 6, Ash Wednesday. Religion. What religion, if any, does your main character believe in? How does this affect the story? Does this tie into larger themes of your book? So the basis for the religion in my novel is Greco-Roman polytheism. There is a pantheon of gods and goddesses that they talk about throughout the book, but not like at length. There's no like backstory or exposition dump. It's just sort of known that there's a pantheon of gods and goddesses, and that different people from different regions of the world worship different gods and goddesses differently. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Liz worships Ciara, who is the goddess of moon and tides. She lives in a castle by the sea. She is also the goddess of creation and life. The sacrifice, the blood sacrifice, is basically the kingdom of Aegis runs on magic. That's how the sun rises and sets. It's how the seasons change. It's how the tides turn. The natural processes of the world run on magic. The magic is given to them by the gods, and the magic is running out. So there was a prophecy from 1,000 years ago saying, like, the only way to bring magic back to the land of Aegis will be to sacrifice the Red Princess at this special ceremony on this special day and time, and when she's born with red hair to the king, they're like, hey, you're the girl, and this is when you're gonna die. So she's known her whole life about this. But basically it is Ciara, the goddess of moon and tides, this tempestuous goddess who had proclaimed that the Red Princess had to die in a specific way on a specific day so that the world could keep running and not break down, basically, the natural processes of the world. And so it's a complicated relationship that she has with the gods and goddesses. She is trying to actively figure out and outsmart this prophecy. So she's trying to basically deceive this goddess while also praying to her and feeling connected to her through this faith that she has. So it's very sort of complicated. She really does rely a lot on her faith. She knows a ton about the gods and goddesses because she's been trying to avert this prophecy her whole life. She has studied them to the moon and back. So she knows so much that she believes in them wholeheartedly, and she prays to them wholeheartedly because she does believe in their power and their divinity and all of that. But at the same time, she's a 17-year-old girl and she's not ready to die. So there's that. Anyway, number 7, laissez-les bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. Party. Are there any special rituals, parties, gatherings in your whip? What are they symbolic of? How does this tie into larger themes of your book? How does this affect your main character? So, like, there's a lot of, like, parties and stuff, but I feel like none of them are super important. I know that sounds really dumb. So Liz is pretty sheltered throughout her life. She spends a lot of her time studying. She spends a lot of her time learning dead languages and translating scrolls and learning about the gods and all of that. It's been a main focus of her life, not socializing and going to parties. So while the Southern Kingdom is pretty known for its like wild parties and, you know, sort of lax moral standards and stuff as far as that, it's sort of a hub of like debauchery and whatever. She's been pretty sheltered her whole life and hasn't really attended a lot of the parties and stuff. Meanwhile, Tia has. Throughout the book, because she's journeying with people, there are a couple of instances where she like dances wild country dances, you know, at a lodge in the woods, and there's like a tavern at one point where they have some drinks, but it's not really like a party or a ritual. They're not really symbolic of anything other than kind of her letting loose and having fun, which is a good contrast to a lot of the, you know, more serious themes in the book, so that's nice. But yeah, so there's not a ton of symbolism as far as the parties go in this book. Number 8, throw me something, mister. Voice. What quirky sayings or language develop the voice of your character? So they say gods instead of God. That's something that they all kind of say. There's a character, Smitty, and he like, I don't even know what his accent really is, like, in my head. I can hear it, but like I don't think it has like a nationality or anything. I think he's just a gruff dude. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. There's not a ton of like sayings and quirks. I don't like a lot of that. It feels a little bit gimmicky in dialogue, like actually in dialogue, unless you're like doing it stylistically because of someone's like thick accent or nationality or whatever is different, and you're trying to like, you know, layer that in. But within the realm of this fantasy world, like sayings, like, I don't know, they have some mottos and stuff, but it's not really the same. They don't cuss a lot. It's a little bit, you know, it's kind of like they say bastard a lot, but that's, you know, more of a statement of fact than like a curse. And I don't know. There's not a lot of like quirky language development things throughout this book, just because I feel like a lot of the characters are, I don't know, they're just who they are. Smitty has very interesting language though, but he's just Smitty. I don't even know what to tell you about him. Number 9, toy horns, annoyances. What is bugging your character to the point of distracting them from their goal? Any specific stressors, and how does this relate to the themes explored in your book? So, things that annoy her at the beginning of the book seem to have grown on her by the end of the book. Like, specifically, Matt is such a little turkey. I don't even, he's like, he does this thing where he like grins at her, and she's like, why are you grinning at me? Stop smirking at me. And she like hates his stupid grin on his face. But by the end, she finds it kind of endearing. So like there's that. Annoyances. What else annoys her? Oh, there's another character, Gareth, and he's very quiet, and he does this thing where he just like leans against stuff and like stares at her, and she like calls him out on it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like one of those things where it's just like, oh, you're just gonna like be there silently and not talk. No, she like says like, you think you're mysterious, whatever, you just like don't say things, but you're not, and it's annoying. And so like that annoys her, but I think that's more because the less he speaks and opens up to her, like the less she can understand him, and she doesn't like not understanding things, and he's like kind of one big enigma. So I think that, yeah, Gareth's just whole demeanor annoys her. Let's see, number 10, last question. Big crowds, personality. Is your character introverted or extroverted? Are there any specific personality traits or quirks? How does this influence the decisions they make? Okay, well, she's definitely introverted, and working, sorry, I have like a little bit of a nose thing going on, but she's definitely introverted, working on becoming more extroverted. She's trying to open herself up to new experiences and learn about new things, and it's hard for her at times, you know. She's not good at it, but she's trying, and I like that about her. Are there any specific personality traits or quirks that go along with that? I feel like just sort of she's almost like naive and honest to a fault at times, just because she hasn't had a ton of contact, you know, socially, like with other people from different spheres and stuff. And because she feels a lot of responsibility for different things that aren't even really things that she should probably feel responsibility for. She carries like a lot of the weight of the world on her shoulders, and it shows in her interactions with other people, I think, a lot. And I think that's part of why she's hard pressed to get close to too many people too, as too many people have let her down, and so she's like worried that she's gonna let other people down, and it's this whole thing. But yeah, so that was the 10 questions about symbolism in my whip for Mardi Gras, and I hope that you decide to do this tag too. Thank you to my partner, Camille and Myrick. You are awesome. I'm so excited for Paper Daisies coming out. I'll make sure to link her channel and everything down below for you guys. And if you do this, please tag me or send me the link. All of my information is down below, or you can check me out on Facebook. I have my own author page, author Lauren Severe, and I would love to put you in a playlist so that everybody can enjoy during Lent all of these wonderful Mardi Gras videos. Anyway, have fun, catch a ton of beads, eat some king cake, and like and subscribe to this video. Bye guys, have a great day.